For centuries, a single silk painting from the Han Dynasty has baffled historians' delicate strokes, forming animals that shouldn't exist, flowers blooming out of season, and geometric patterns hiding in plain sight. What looks like mere decoration is actually a secret language, one that wealthy families and emperors used to encode messages about power, luck, and even rebellion. Today, we're unraveling 30 of these hidden symbols embedded in ancient Chinese art, from the lotus that secretly warned of political unrest to the hummingbird that symbolized forbidden love. You'll never look at a vase or scroll the same way again. Among these hidden symbols, none holds more weight than the mighty dragon, the ultimate emblem of imperial authority. Far more than just a mythical beast, this creature adorned the robes of emperors, the pillars of palaces, and even the thrones of dynasties. Unlike Western tales that paint dragons as fearsome monsters, the Chinese dragon was a celestial guardian, its coiled body representing the emperor's divine right to rule. Artists depicted it clutching pearls of wisdom, soaring above waves of prosperity, or wreathed in clouds, each detail a carefully chosen message. Some variations, like the five-clawed dragon, were reserved exclusively for the Son of Heaven. Even the way its serpentine body twisted held meaning, symbolizing the balance between earthly power and cosmic harmony. This wasn't just decoration, it was a visual language declaring legitimacy, strength, and the mandate of heaven itself. While the dragon embodied the emperor's might, the phoenix, or fenghuang, was its perfect counterpart, a celestial symbol of grace, virtue, and the empress herself. With feathers like swirling ink strokes, this mythical bird represented the highest ideals of femininity, compassion, wisdom, and harmony. Unlike the fiery rebirth of Western phoenixes, the Chinese phoenix emerged only in times of peace, soaring above dynasties as a living omen of prosperity. Brides wore its image embroidered in gold thread, a promise of renewal and unity, while empresses adorned their crowns with its elegant form. Where the dragon commanded, the phoenix nurtured. Its presence in art and textiles whispered of balance, the quiet strength that shaped empires from behind the throne. Every curve of its wings, every delicate feather, told a story far beyond mere beauty. Beneath the towering presence of dragons and phoenixes, another celestial creature roamed the legends of ancient China, the Qilin. With the body of a deer, the tail of an ox, and scales glimmering like fish, this chimera wasn't just a figment of imagination, it was a living prophecy. Unlike the fierce dragon, the Qilin moved without crushing a single blade of grass, its gentle steps embodying benevolence and divine favor. Emperors claimed its rare appearances heralded golden ages, while ordinary families painted its likeness on doorways to ward off misfortune. Some stories tell of a Qilin materializing before the birth of Confucius, foretelling a sage who would reshape history. Even its composite form carried meaning, the antlers of longevity, the hooves of justice, the scales shielding against evil. More than just a myth, the Qilin was a messenger, its very existence a whisper from the heavens that change was coming. Spotting one in art wasn't just luck, it was an invitation to watch for miracles. If the dragon ruled the heavens and the phoenix graced the courts, then the tortoise carried the weight of the earth itself. This unassuming creature wasn't just an animal, it was a living anchor, a symbol of endurance so powerful that ancient Chinese scholars placed tortoise statues beneath stone tablets to ensure their words lasted for millennia. Carvings of tortoises adorned tombs, their shells etched with constellations, representing the unshakable wisdom of ancestors. Even the inkstones used by poets and officials often bore its shape, a quiet reminder that true knowledge, like the tortoise, moves slowly but never falters. But the tortoise's significance didn't end there. In the cosmic dance of the four celestial beasts, the black tortoise of the north stood guard over winter and water, its dark shell a shield against chaos. Unlike the dragon's fiery might or the phoenix's radiant beauty, the tortoise embodied something deeper. the quiet strength of persistence. Emperors sought its image for seals, believing it would steady their reign, while scholars kept tortoise-shaped paperweights to steady their thoughts. Some legends even spoke of mythological spirit tortoises that carried the secrets of immortality on their backs. Whether carved into jade or inked onto scrolls, this creature was more than a guardian. It was a promise that the greatest power lies not in speed but in staying the course. While the tortoise stood as a symbol of unyielding patience, its celestial counterpart, the white tiger, prowled through legends with a far fiercer energy. Known as Beihu in Chinese, this mythical beast wasn't just a guardian of the West. It was a force of raw power, carved onto soldiers' armor and stamped onto imperial edicts as a warning to enemies. Where the dragon ruled the heavens and the phoenix embodied grace, the white tiger's domain was the battlefield, its striped form embodying the unrelenting courage of warriors. But the tiger's symbolism held layers beyond sheer strength. As one of the four celestial beasts, it governed autumn, the season of harvest, but also of decline, reminding observers that even the mightiest forces follow nature's rhythms. Artisans depicted it mid-roar, fangs bared against demons, yet its claws rarely drew blood in art. Instead, it stood poised, a balanced protector. Military banners fluttered with its image to rally troops, while generals wore tiger-shaped tokens, believing its spirit would grant them strategic brilliance. Perhaps most intriguing were the tiger's contradictions: a killer revered as a guardian, a wild force channeled into order. Temples placed stone tiger statues at their gates to repel malevolent spirits, and children wore tiger head shoes for protection. Even in death, the tiger held power. Ancient tombs faced west, its celestial direction, so the beast could guide souls safely into the afterlife. This wasn't just an animal, it was a paradox in motion, ferocity tempered by duty, a reminder that true power lies not in destruction but in the wisdom to wield it. In the celestial hierarchy of ancient China, the Azure Dragon, or Qilin, reigned supreme as the majestic guardian of the East and the bringer of spring. While earthly dragons symbolized imperial power, this radiant beast operated on an entirely different plane, its coiled body mapping the stars themselves. On-hand dynasty, bronze mirrors, and jade burial suits, its form emerges in swirling patterns, not just as decoration but as a cosmic compass. These artifacts were often aligned to face east, ensuring the deceased would be guided by the dragon's celestial light into the afterlife. What set the Azure Dragon apart was its connection to renewal. Where the Emperor's five-clawed dragon represented unshakable authority, the Qilin heralded the thaw of winter, its scales shimmering with the promise of rain and growth. Astronomers charted its path across the heavens, associating its position with the season's first planting. Even its color carried meaning: the vibrant blue-green of new life, a hue so sacred it adorned temple roofs and ritual vessels. Yet the Azure Dragon's power wasn't just poetic. Military banners bore its image to invoke victory, as East was considered the direction of auspicious beginnings. Tomb murals depicted it alongside the other celestial beasts, but always leading the charge, its claws cradling the rising sun. This was no mere myth, it was a celestial clockwork, a reminder that even emperors bowed to the cycles of the cosmos. To spot the Azure Dragon in art wasn't just to see a symbol, it was to witness time itself, woven into scales and stars. While the Azure Dragon heralded spring, the vermilion bird, or zhuq, blazed across the southern skies as the embodiment of summer's fierce vitality. This radiant creature wasn't just another phoenix. Its scarlet feathers crackled with the energy of the sun itself, woven into Tang Dynasty silks as a promise of transformation. Where the phoenix symbolized harmony, the vermilion bird thrived in upheaval. Its appearance in art marked moments of rebirth, from scorched earth to new growth. Astronomers tracked its celestial form among the stars, linking its position to the height of harvest and the peak of yang energy. Emperors draped in robes embroidered with its flaming wings weren't just displaying wealth, they were aligning themselves with the unstoppable force of renewal. Even its color carried layered meaning: vermilion, the shade of molten metal and lifeblood, a pigment so rare it adorned only the most sacred texts and altars. Yet the bird's true power lay in its duality. It guarded the south, the direction of fire, but also of enlightenment, its wings fanning both destruction and wisdom. Murals showed it perched atop pagodas, watching over scholars as they penned poetry, while tomb artifacts placed it opposite the black tortoise, balancing heat with resilience. To spot the vermilion bird wasn't just to see a symbol of summer, it was to witness the art of change itself, painted in strokes of flame and gold. Among the celestial guardians, none held a more enigmatic presence than the black tortoise of the north, known as Qilin. This was no ordinary tortoise, coiled around its shell, a serpent's body twisted in eternal embrace, an inseparable duo carved into star maps and tomb walls alike. Where the four celestial beasts govern the seasons, the black tortoise presided over winter's stillness, its dual form embodying the harmony of opposites, earth and water, endurance and transformation. Ancient astronomers charted its constellation as a guidepost for rulers, believing its position in the northern skies whispered secrets of longevity. But it was in burial sites where the Qilin power became tangible. Tomb entrances faced north, guarded by statues of the tortoise and serpent, their interlocked bodies warding off restless spirits. The serpent's tail wasn't just decoration, it symbolized the cyclical nature of life and death. Its coils a ladder between worlds. Emperors commissioned jade amulets with its image, placing them in the hands of the deceased to ensure safe passage through the underworld's frozen rivers. Yet the most striking depictions appear on Tang Dynasty star maps, where the black tortoise's shell is etched with constellations, each marking a celestial checkpoint. Scholars likened its slow march across the heavens to the inevitability of time itself, unyielding, deliberate. Unlike the dragon's grandeur or the tiger's ferocity, the Qilin strength lay in its quiet defiance of chaos. To encounter it in art wasn't just to see a guardian, it was to witness the cosmos itself, armored and eternal. Amidst the celestial menagerie of dragons and phoenixes, one delicate symbol carried the weight of both earth and heavens: the lotus. At first glance, its petals seem like simple decoration, floating on Ming vases or unfurling in Song Dynasty silks. But peel back the layers and you'll find a flower that whispered two very different secrets. To Buddhists, its pristine bloom rising untouched from muddy waters was the ultimate metaphor for enlightenment, the soul's ability to transcend suffering. Yet centuries before Buddhism's arrival, the lotus already held power in Chinese art, its seed pods bursting with an older, earthier symbolism: fertility, abundance, and the unstoppable pulse of life. Han Dynasty artisans carved lotuses onto bridal chests and painted them on chamber pots, their bulbous pods representing burgeoning families. By the Tang era, Buddhist monks had woven the flower into temple frescoes, its petals now cradling bodhisattvas like celestial thrones. The lotus adapted without surrendering its roots. King emperors commissioned porcelain bowls where the flower's dual meaning shimmered: sacred purity for the court's public face, hidden undertones of dynastic continuity for those who knew how to look. What makes the lotus truly mesmerizing is how it mirrors China's own cultural evolution. A single mural might show lotus roots tangled in the mud, a nod to folk traditions, while its flowers support a floating Buddha harmony between the earthly and divine. Even the number of petals held meaning: 8 for cosmic balance, 12 for the months of renewal. This wasn't just a plant, it was a living bridge between worlds, its roots in the soil, its face to the heavens. Next time you spot a lotus in ancient art, look closer. Those petals aren't just pretty, they're pages of history blooming in silence. No other flower in Chinese art carried the opulent prestige of the peony, so revered it was crowned the king of blossoms for centuries. While lotuses spoke of spirituality and chrysanthemums hinted at scholarly retreats, the peony's lush, unfurling petals were a visual anthem to prosperity. In Ming Dynasty porcelain, artisans painted them in rich cobalt blues and vibrant reds, their layered blooms spilling across vases like cascades of silk. These weren't just decorative motifs, they were bold declarations. A single peony on a merchant's dish could signify newfound wealth, while clusters woven into imperial robes whispered of dynastic power. Luoyang, the ancient capital, became synonymous with these flowers. Emperors cultivated entire gardens of peonies, their blossoms so prized that poets claimed their fragrance could intoxicate without wine. The city's legendary peony festivals weren't mere celebrations, they were political theater, where the ruling elite flaunted their refined taste and control over nature's most luxurious creations. Yet the peony's symbolism ran deeper than extravagance. Its short but dazzling bloom period mirrored the fleeting nature of fame, a reminder that even glory had its seasons. Scholars painted it alongside rocks, the eternal meeting the ephemeral, while opera performers wore peony-adorned headdresses to signify female beauty at its zenith. Even its thorns carried meaning. The plant's defiant resilience made it a favorite subject for exiled officials, who saw their own struggles reflected in its ability to thrive against odds. From the delicate powdered peony motifs on Song Dynasty tea ware to the gilded blossoms on King Palace screens, this flower wasn't just admired, it was a language. To display peonies was to claim a place in the grand hierarchy of desire, where every petal whispered of ambition, honor, and the intoxicating dance between power and fragility. While the peony dazzled with its fleeting beauty, scholars turned to a far humbler plant, bamboo, for lessons that would endure centuries. This unassuming stalk wasn't just a plant in Chinese art, it was a philosophy etched in ink. Watch closely as a master painter's brush dances across silk. Each stroke follows the natural growth of bamboo, from the firm upright stems to the delicate leaves that bend but never break. These weren't mere illustrations, they were moral codes in visual form. Bamboo's hollow stalk symbolized humility, yet its unyielding strength in storms made it the ultimate emblem of integrity. Scholars filled their studios with ink paintings of bamboo, not for decoration but as daily reminders to stand firm in their principles, even when political winds howled. The great Song Dynasty artist Wentong became legendary for his bamboo works, capturing not just the plant's form but its spirit, each brushstroke a lesson in resilience. What makes these paintings extraordinary is their technique. The flying white style, where dry brushstrokes reveal flecks of bare paper, mirrored bamboo's textured surface, a visual metaphor for honesty where nothing is concealed. Even the way artists layered ink, from pale washes to bold black, echoed Confucian ideals. Subtlety paired with unshakable conviction, bamboo's influence stretched beyond scrolls. Scholars' writing desks often held bamboo-shaped paperweights, while poets compared its joints, those reinforced ridges along the stalk, to the milestones of a virtuous life. In a single plant, artists found the entire ethos of the educated elite: flexibility without compromise, strength without arrogance. Next time you see bamboo in ancient art, look past the simplicity. Those swaying leaves hold centuries of whispered wisdom, still rustling with relevance today. While bamboo embodied the scholar's resilience, another plant stood defiant against time itself, the pine tree. Its evergreen needles, clinging to life even in the harshest winters, made it more than just a botanical subject in Chinese art. It became a testament to unbroken spirit. Painters captured its gnarled trunks twisting through mountain mists, each brushstroke echoing the tree's refusal to yield. But the pine's symbolism branched deeper than mere endurance. When paired with cranes, those celestial messengers of long life, the compositions transformed into visual prayers. A Ming Dynasty scroll might show a lone pine stretching toward a crane in flight, their combined presence whispering secrets of immortality. Courts prized pine wood for its strength, carving it into furniture meant to last generations, while literati exchanged pine saplings as gifts, their roots a metaphor for enduring friendships. The tree's resin, believed to nourish the soul, found its way into medicines and inks, blurring the line between the natural and the sacred. Even the sound of wind through pine needles held meaning. Artists called it sowing wisdom, a reminder that true strength speaks softly. What makes the pine truly captivating is how it bridges worlds. In Taoist alchemy, its eternal greenery symbolized the elixir of life, while Confucian scholars saw its upright form as a model of moral constancy. Whether etched into lacquerware or towering across silk landscapes, the pine wasn't just a tree, it was a silent mentor. Its presence in art didn't merely decorate, it invited viewers to stand firm, grow deep, and like its evergreen boughs, find grace in weathering every season. Among the most enchanting symbols in Chinese mythology, the peach holds a sweetness that goes far beyond its juicy flesh. This humble fruit wasn't just a treat, it was the key to eternal life, revered in legends and carved into sacred objects for centuries. At the heart of its mystique lies the story of the Queen Mother of the West, the celestial deity who ruled over a mythical orchard where peach trees blossomed only once every 3,000 years. Those lucky enough to taste their fruit were granted immortality, a tale so powerful it inspired artisans to shape jade into peach pendants, worn as amulets to ward off death itself. But the peach's magic wasn't reserved for gods alone. In everyday life, its image adorned birthday banners and long life locks, especially for elders celebrating milestones. The fruit's rounded form, often painted in vibrant pinks and reds, became shorthand for longevity, its velvety skin mirroring the flushed cheeks of health and vitality. During the Ming Dynasty, porcelain artists painted peaches alongside bats, combining symbols for both long life and good fortune in a visual play on words. The bat fu and peach tao together whispered fu tao, blessings and longevity. Even the peach's life cycle held meaning. Unlike flowers that wilted quickly, its sturdy stone and slow ripening fruit echoed the Confucian ideal of gradual, meaningful growth. Scholars exchanged peachwood charms to protect against malevolent spirits, while brides carried peach blossom bouquets to ensure a marriage as enduring as the Queen Mother's orchard. From imperial palaces to village festivals, this fruit transcended class, its symbolism as layered as the petals of its fleeting bloom. To hold a jade peach or spot one in a painting wasn't just to see a fruit, it was to cradle a piece of eternity. Tucked away in misty mountain grottos and glowing from ancient scrolls, the Lingzhi mushroom emerges like something from a dream, its curling layers resembling petrified clouds frozen mid-drift. Known as the herb of immortality, this wasn't merely a fungus to the Taoist sages, it was nature's alchemy made visible. Artists captured its otherworldly form in lacquer boxes and ceremonial cups, each ripple of its surface echoing the sacred landscapes where seekers believed it grew. Unlike ordinary mushrooms, the Lingzhi's glossy, layered caps lacked gills beneath, a detail meticulously painted to signify its celestial origins. Alchemists prized it above gold, grinding its woody flesh into elixirs meant to purify the body and elevate the spirit. Texts from the Han Dynasty described Lingzhi hunting expeditions, where rulers sent teams into the wilderness with silver tools, believing only precious metals could harvest its magic without corruption. The mushroom's rarity fueled its legend. Some claimed it sprouted only where lightning struck earth or where immortals had tread, but the Lingzhi's true power lay in its duality. Taoist art often depicts it cradled by cranes or glowing beside moonlight, symbolizing the harmony between earthly medicine and cosmic transcendence. Emperors consumed it powdered in wine, while poets compared its layered growth to the unfolding stages of enlightenment. Even its color carried meaning: purple Lingzhi for wisdom, red for vitality, black for protection against unseen forces. What makes these depictions so captivating is how they blur the line between biology and belief. A single Ming Dynasty lacquer screen might show Lingzhi sprouting like coral from a deer's antlers, a visual paradox celebrating longevity through nature's unexpected unions. Whether carved into jade hairpins or inked onto medicinal manuscripts, the Lingzhi wasn't just a symbol. It was a promise that even the most humble organisms could hold the secrets of eternity. Among all the creatures woven into Chinese art, few provoke as much initial surprise as the bat, a nocturnal flyer transformed into a luminous symbol of joy. Far from the ominous Western associations, Chinese bats glitter in gold thread on imperial robes and perch playfully upside down on roof beams. The secret lies in a linguistic alchemy. The word for bat, fu, sounds identical to the word for good fortune. This clever homophone turned an ordinary animal into a visual pun, its very presence a whispered blessing. Artisans amplified this symbolism through deliberate compositions. Bats often appear inverted in carvings, their dangling posture making the character fu seem to arrive upon viewers as if fortune were descending from above. The most lavish examples cluster in groups of 5, embodying the wu-fu or 5 blessings: longevity, wealth, health, love of virtue, and a peaceful death. On Qing Dynasty porcelain, these 5 bats might encircle a longevity symbol, their wings outstretched like protective talismans, but the bat's charm wasn't confined to palaces. Rural households painted red bats, the color doubling its auspicious energy, on door panels, while merchants stamped bat motifs on coin molds to attract prosperity. Even the creature's erratic flight path held meaning. Scholars likened its zigzagging movements to life's unpredictable yet ultimately fortunate twists. Whether molded into silver hairpins or hidden in latticework, the bat proves that in Chinese art, even the most unlikely subjects can carry the sweetest messages. Dive into any Chinese New Year market and you'll spot them everywhere: vibrant paper cutouts, embroidered silks, even wooden carvings of fish, their scales glinting with promise. But these aren't just decorative, they're silent heralds of prosperity thanks to a playful twist of language. The word for fish, yu, sounds nearly identical to the term for surplus or abundance. This clever homophone turned an everyday creature into a visual shorthand for wealth, its presence in art a wish for overflowing harvests and full coffers. Zhou Dynasty bronzes reveal how deep this symbolism runs. Ritual wine vessels shaped like fish weren't merely functional, they were communal prayers cast in metal, their hollow bellies meant to be filled with both liquid and hope. Fast forward to Ming and Qing ceramics, and you'll find fish paired with lotus blossoms, a visual pun on Nian Yu, may every year bring surplus. Even the direction they swam held meaning. 2 fish circling each other symbolized marital bliss, their endless dance mirroring the harmony of yin and yang. Yet the fish's magic wasn't confined to grand artifacts. Rural brides tucked embroidered fish pendants into their dowries, while scholars painted carp leaping waterfalls, a metaphor for perseverance, as these tenacious fish were said to transform into dragons once they reached the summit. Whether inked onto folk prints or molded into mooncake molds, the humble fish carried a universal message: that abundance isn't just about riches but the joy of shared blessings. So next time you spot a fish in Chinese art, look closer. Those gilded scales aren't just ornamentation, they're centuries of collective longing swimming through history. Amidst the grand symbolism of dragons and celestial beasts, the butterfly flutters into Chinese art with surprising weight, its delicate wings carrying messages far beyond fleeting beauty. What seems like a simple motif is actually a masterclass in visual wordplay. The Chinese word for butterfly, dai, sounds nearly identical to the term for octogenarian, turning this fragile creature into a vibrant wish for long life. Artisans immortalized this pun in intricate cloisonné hairpins and lacquered boxes where butterflies often hover near peonies, the pairing whispering fugui dai, riches, honor, and longevity. But the butterfly's magic didn't stop at clever linguistics. Its metamorphosis from caterpillar to winged beauty mirrored the Taoist ideal of transformation, making it a favorite subject for scholars contemplating life cycles. Song Dynasty painters captured its delicate dance atop garden blooms, each brushstroke a meditation on impermanence and renewal. Brides wore embroidered butterflies on their sleeves, symbols of both romantic love and the hope for enduring vitality. Perhaps most poignant are the Ming Dynasty butterfly cups, where gilded wings seem to flutter when wine fills the vessel, a poetic reminder that joy, like life, is transient yet infinitely precious. Whether inlaid in mother-of-pearl or etched into jade, the butterfly proves that even the smallest symbols can carry the weight of eternity. Among the chorus of birds in Chinese symbolism, the magpie stands apart, not for its song, but for the sheer joy embedded in its very name. Zik, as it's called, literally translates to joyful bird, with the first character, Roman 11, mirroring the one used in weddings and celebrations. This linguistic twist turned an ordinary black and white bird into a herald of happiness, its image popping up everywhere from bridal dowries to New Year's decorations. But the magpie's symbolism isn't just about wordplay. Folk tales describe it as a mediator between lovers, its chattering calls believed to reunite parted sweethearts. Emperors even kept magpies in imperial gardens, considering their presence an omen of good news. In wedding art, pairs of magpies often perch on plum branches, a visual promise of shared joy and enduring partnership. Yet the bird's most dramatic role comes in its legendary battles with snakes. Scrolls and carvings depict the magpie fearlessly confronting serpents, not as predators but as symbols of chaos. These confrontations weren't just artistic flair, they represented the triumph of joy over adversity, a reminder that happiness often requires courage. Whether embroidered onto gowns or painted on scrolls, the magpie's message is clear. Even the simplest creature can carry the weight of celebration. Spot one in art, and you're not just seeing a bird, you're witnessing a centuries-old toast to life's brightest moments. Graceful and poised, the deer holds a place of quiet reverence in Chinese art, a creature whose delicate antlers and gentle stance conceal layers of profound meaning. Far more than just a forest dweller, this elegant animal became a visual stand-in for prosperity itself, thanks to a clever linguistic link. The Chinese word for deer, lu, echoes the term lu, meaning official's salary. This harmonious wordplay transformed its image into a silent wish for career success, its form appearing on everything from Ming scholars' ink stones to Tang Dynasty silver bowls. But the deer's symbolism runs deeper than puns. Ancient Shang Dynasty bronzes capture its profile in sharp relief, antlers branching like celestial maps, an early hint at its connection to immortality. Later, Taoist art paired the deer with Shu Lao, the long-bearded god of longevity, often showing the animal curled at his feet or bearing peaches of eternal life. These weren't just decorative choices, they reflected a belief that the deer's ability to find mystical herbs made it a guide to the secrets of everlasting youth. Perhaps most striking is how artists emphasize the deer's antlers. Unlike Western depictions of hunting trophies, Chinese painters rendered them with almost botanical delicacy, comparing their annual shedding and regrowth to the cycles of renewal. In imperial gardens, white deer, rare and revered, were said to live 1,000 years, their coats fading to the color of moonlight. Whether carved into jade amulets or woven into silk court robes, the deer wasn't just an animal, it was a promise, its graceful form whispering of both earthly success and timeless transcendence. Amidst the menagerie of Chinese symbols, the elephant stands as a gentle giant, both rare and profoundly meaningful. Unlike other animals that crowd the artistic landscape, elephants appear sparingly, making each depiction all the more significant. Their sheer size and quiet power became emblems of stability and peace, especially during the Qing Dynasty, when tribute paintings showcased these magnificent creatures gifted from neighboring kingdoms. But the elephant's symbolism runs deeper than its physical presence. The Chinese word for elephant, xiang, sounds like the word for auspicious, turning its image into a visual wish for good fortune. Temples featured stone elephants flanking their entrances, their massive forms radiating protective energy without aggression. Unlike the dragon's fiery might or the tiger's ferocity, the elephant embodied a different kind of strength, grounded, enduring, and harmoniously balanced. Qing Dynasty artists captured this duality masterfully. In tribute scrolls, elephants were often painted in tranquil procession, their backs draped in richly embroidered cloths, symbolizing both imperial prestige and the peaceful acceptance of foreign relations. Sculptors carved them into temple pillars, their broad feet planted firmly, as if anchoring sacred spaces to the earth itself. Even in Buddhist art, the white elephant emerged as a divine messenger, its purity representing wisdom and untouchable grace. What makes these depictions so compelling is their layered meaning. An elephant carrying a vase, for instance, wasn't just decorative, it whispered ping and xiang, a wish for both peace and prosperity. Whether rendered in delicate ink or towering stone, the elephant's quiet presence reminds us that true strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks softly, leaving behind footprints of harmony and hope. Tucked among vines and dangling from the belts of wandering immortals, the humble gourd holds secrets that belie its simple shape. In Taoist tradition, this bulbous fruit, known as hulu, was far more than a rustic container. It was a miniature cosmos, its rounded belly symbolizing the very universe in microcosm. Artists depicted it with deliberate precision, the narrow neck representing the passage between earthly and celestial realms, while its swollen lower half cradled the elixirs of eternal life. Few figures embody the gourd's mystique like Lai Taiguai, the limping immortal whose cracked flask overflowed with miracles. Scrolls portray this ragged sage clutching his gourd staff, its surface weathered yet potent, a visual metaphor for how wisdom often hides in plain sight. Inside his gourd, legends claimed, flowed cures for every ailment, from common fevers to the soul's deepest unrest. Apothecaries adopted its shape for medicine bottles, believing the vessel itself amplified healing. But the gourd's magic wasn't just medicinal. Hung above doorways, its double-round form whispered hulu, a playful homophone for protection and prosperity. Taoist alchemists stored their most potent powders in gourds, while paintings showed them floating down rivers, empty yet weightless, embodying the paradox of usefulness through emptiness. Even the way gourds grew in pairs spoke to the yin-yang balance, their twin forms swaying like celestial pendulums. From the weathered flasks of mountain hermits to the lacquered pendants worn by emperors, this unassuming fruit carried dual truths, that the grandest mysteries could dwell in the simplest vessels, and that sometimes salvation was just a sip away. Hidden in latticework screens and carved into the backs of Ming Dynasty chairs, the 8 Trigrams, or Bogwa, form a silent shield against chaos. These 8 sets of 3 lines, some broken and some unbroken, aren't just abstract patterns, they're a coded language of cosmic balance rooted in Taoist philosophy. Each trigram represents fundamental forces: heaven's creative energy, earth's nurturing stillness, fire's transformative glow, and water's adaptable flow. Together, they map the universe's rhythms, guiding energy through spaces and lives alike. Craftsmen embedded these symbols into everyday objects with precision. A scholar's table might feature the bogwa along its edges, aligning the user with wisdom represented by the trigram can, water, while a bridal dowry chest could display live fire to ignite passion in marriage. The arrangement mattered deeply, placing the heaven trigram at the head of a bed promised divine protection during sleep, while mountain, carved onto a home's threshold, anchored the structure against misfortune. Divination tools like the Luopan compass brought the bogwa to life, its spinning dials helping geomancers harmonize buildings with invisible energy currents. But you didn't need to be a mystic to benefit. Even a simple stool with trigrams carved into its legs transformed sitting into an act of alignment, proof that in ancient China, the sacred wasn't confined to temples. It lived in the grain of wood, the turn of a key, the quiet geometry of a life well ordered. What makes these symbols timeless is their adaptability. A merchant might seek the wind trigram for prosperity, while a mother prized thunder for its protective vigor. Whether inlaid in mother of pearl or traced in incense ash, the Bagua whispered the same truth. That order isn't imposed but chosen, one line, one intention at a time. Few symbols are as universally recognized yet profoundly misunderstood as the swirling black and white teardrops of the Taijitu, more commonly known as the yin-yang. At first glance, it's a simple representation of balance, harmony, opposites. But in the hands of Song Dynasty philosophers, this elegant diagram became a visual manifesto for the very rhythm of existence. Scholars of the Neo-Confucian movement didn't just depict the Taijitu as static halves. Their intricate diagrams revealed its dynamism. The way the white yang germinates a black dot at its zenith, while the swelling yin cradles a white seed in its depths. These weren't just artistic choices, they encoded the belief that every force carries the embryo of its opposite. A surviving silk scroll from the 12th century shows the symbol superimposed over astral charts, aligning its curves with seasonal solstices, proof that this was cosmic math painted in ink. Yet outside academia, the Taijitu took on a life of its own. Village healers drew it on medicinal packets, believing its balance could regulate bodily humors. Folk artists twisted its form into playful variations, twin fish chasing each other's tails on children's kites, or interlocking flames and waves on temple tiles. The symbol's adaptability was its genius. It could represent the dance of seasons for a farmer, the push-pull of relationships for a matchmaker, even the interplay of spices in a chef's pot. What makes the Taijitu timeless isn't its perfection, but its quiet insistence that harmony isn't about erasing contrasts. It's about the tension between them, the way darkness gives light its brilliance, how silence makes music breathe. Whether etched into a scholar's seal or embroidered on a dancer's sleeve, this ancient diagram whispers the same truth. Equilibrium isn't a destination. It's the art of moving gracefully between the turns. The Ruyi scepter begins its story not in palaces, but in the most ordinary of places, the hands of an itchy scholar. Originally crafted as an ornate back-scratcher, this curved object's transformation into a symbol of imperial favor is as fascinating as its intricate carvings. By the Tang Dynasty, what started as a practical tool had morphed into a masterpiece of jade and gold, its head shaped like a stylized cloud, a direct nod to celestial blessings. Emperors quickly recognized the Ruyi's power beyond its function. The name itself, meaning "as you wish," turned it into the perfect diplomatic gift, a subtle promise of goodwill wrapped in artistry. Qing Dynasty rulers exchanged Ruyi scepters studded with pearls, each curve whispering unspoken alliances, but the true brilliance lies in its cloud motif. Unlike casual depictions, these weren't just decorative swirls. They mirrored the very patterns on astrological charts, linking the holder to the heavens' boundless favor. Beyond politics, the Ruyi became central to celebrations. Elderly birthdays featured scepters carved from longevity woods like sandalwood, their surfaces etched with peaches and cranes, a triple-layered wish for health, happiness, and heavenly protection. What makes these objects extraordinary is their dual nature, functional yet sacred, personal yet political. A single Ruyi might rest on a scholar's desk as a paperweight by day, then take center stage at rituals by night, proving that even the humblest origins can ascend to greatness. Tucked into the seams of garments and pressed into the mortar of ancestral halls, coins weave through Chinese art with silent authority. These aren't just currency, they're talismans, their round shapes and square holes embodying the ancient belief that heaven's perfection, the circle, could harmonize with earth's order, the square. Step into any Ming Dynasty courtyard, and you might miss the coin-patterned floor tiles beneath your feet, each one a hidden prayer for prosperity, their interlocking designs ensuring wealth would circulate endlessly through the home. But the true magic lies in your Sheng Qian, those enigmatic charm coins cast with cryptic inscriptions. Unlike ordinary currency, these bore phrases like Tianzia Tai Ping, peace under heaven, or intricate zodiac symbols, transforming metal into portable blessings. Families strung them on red threads and hung them above cradles, while merchants sewed them into ledger covers to safeguard fortunes. Burial customs reveal the coin's profound duality. Han Dynasty tombs placed real coins in the deceased's hands for the afterlife, while later eras substituted ceramic replicas, proof that even in death, prosperity was both wish and necessity. Delve deeper and you'll find coins etched with constellations, their perforations aligning with celestial maps to guide souls through the cosmos. Whether stamped onto bridal dowries or embedded in temple thresholds, these unassuming discs carried the weight of two worlds, one material, the other eternal. What makes them timeless is their simplicity. A single coin motif on a robe's embroidery or a dish's glaze wasn't just decoration. It was an inherited whisper, a reminder that wealth, like the square within the circle, must always flow in balance. Few symbols radiate joy as instantly as Xuanxi the Bold, interlocking, double happiness character that has graced Chinese weddings for centuries. At first glance, its design appears simple. Two standard Roman 11 characters meaning joy fused seamlessly side by side. But look closer and you'll notice the masterstroke, their shared central stroke, a visual metaphor for the union of two lives becoming one. This ingenious fusion wasn't just calligraphy, it was an artistic pact, its symmetrical lines mirroring the balance expected in marriage. Legend traces its origin to the Tang Dynasty, where a scholar reportedly combined the characters after passing both the civil and military imperial exams, a double triumph celebrated by his marriage. Whether myth or history, the tale cemented Xuanxi as shorthand for layered blessings. Bridal dowries spilled with its image, lacquered boxes, silk quilts, even pastry molds stamped with the character, each imprint a wish for doubled fortune. What makes this symbol enduring is its adaptability. Northern artisans carved it into wooden bed frames with peonies twining through its strokes, while southern embroiderers rendered it in gold thread so dense it shimmered like armor. During the Qing dynasty, imperial weddings took it further, grafting the character onto palace walls with paper cutouts so intricate they resembled lace. Yet even in humbler celebrations, its power remained. A single red paper Xuanxi pasted on a village door could transform an entire home into a temple of joy. Beyond aesthetics, the character's construction holds a deeper lesson. The Roman 11 on the right traditionally leans slightly as if bowing to its partner, a subtle nod to mutual respect in marriage. Whether gilded on a bride's hairpin or glowing from lanterns at dusk, Xuanxi isn't just a symbol. It's a silent vow written in strokes as bold as love itself. When the bitter winds of winter swept across ancient China, three steadfast companions defied the cold, not with brute force but with quiet resilience. The pine, bamboo, and plum blossom, collectively known as the three friends of winter, formed an artistic trio that scholars revered above all others. While each plant held individual meaning, together they became a visual anthem to endurance, their intertwined forms gracing everything from ink paintings to ceramic vessels with layers of hidden significance. The pine tree, evergreen and unyielding, stood as the elder statesman of the group, its gnarled branches heavy with snow yet never breaking. Beside it, bamboo bent under winter's weight but sprang back with each thaw, its hollow stalks whispering of humility in adversity. And then there was the plum blossom, daring to bloom in the depths of frost, its delicate petals a defiant splash of color against the monochrome landscape. Yuan dynasty artists captured this alliance with exquisite precision. often arranging them in triangular compositions where the pine's steadfastness anchored the bamboo's flexibility and the plum's audacity. What makes their joint symbolism so compelling is how they mirror idealized human virtues. A Ming Dynasty scholar's brush rest might carve all three plants into its surface, transforming a simple tool into a daily reminder. Wisdom pine, adaptability bamboo, and courage plum were the marks of a refined mind. Even the materials carried meaning. Porcelain vases painted with the trio often used cobalt blue for bamboo, evoking its cool resilience, while plum blossoms appeared in soft pink washes, as if tinged by the very cold that failed to stifle them. Court officials exchanged paintings of the three friends during political upheavals, their shared imagery a coded message of solidarity. Unlike the dragon's grandeur or the peony's opulence, these plants spoke to something subtler, the strength found in unity, the beauty of persistence when witnessed by kindred spirits. Whether inlaid in a lacquered desk or brushed onto a handscroll, their presence wasn't just decorative. It was a pact, a promise that even the longest winter eventually yields to spring. While the three friends of winter embodied resilience, another group of plants known as the Four Gentlemen took symbolism to even loftier heights. The plum blossom, orchid, bamboo, and chrysanthemum weren't just botanical subjects. They were a masterclass in Confucian ideals, each representing a season and a virtue that shaped China's scholarly elite for centuries. First, the plum blossom braving winter's bitter chill to bloom defiantly, its delicate petals a testament to unwavering integrity. Artists captured it with sparse, deliberate brushstrokes, mirroring how moral clarity shines brightest in adversity. Ming porcelain often framed these blossoms in cobalt blue, their stark contrast against white clay embodying purity undimmed by hardship. Then came the orchid, spring's elusive philosopher. Unlike showy peonies, this flower thrived in secluded valleys, its subtle fragrance symbolizing humility and quiet refinement. Ink-wash paintings emphasized its slender leaves, their graceful arcs embodying the scholar's pursuit of knowledge, not for fame but for inner harmony. Bamboo, of course, stood as summer's unyielding steward, its hollow stalks bent without breaking, a living lesson in adaptability paired with moral strength. Porcelain artists rendered its joints with precision, each ridge a reminder that true growth comes in measured, disciplined steps. Finally, autumn's chrysanthemum bloomed with dignified endurance. While other flowers withered, its petals unfolded in complex layers, mirroring the wisdom cultivated through life's later seasons. Painters used golden washes to highlight its resilience, a visual echo of how experience gilds the soul. From imperial kilns to scholars' scrolls, these four gentlemen weren't mere decorations, they were mirrors held up to the cultivated mind, each season and stroke whispering timeless truths about how to live with grace. At the height of summer, when sweltering heat and lurking dangers threatened the vulnerable, ancient Chinese parents turned to an unlikely group of guardians, creatures so feared they became powerful protectors. Known as the Five Poisons, this motley crew, the centipede, snake, scorpion, lizard, and toad, should have been symbols of dread. Instead, their embroidered forms danced across children's robes and festival banners, transformed into talismans against harm. The logic was brilliantly twisted. By wearing these venomous creatures, children absorbed their fierceness, turning poison into power. Brightly stitched snakes coiled around sleeves, their forked tongues rendered harmless in silk thread. Scorpions, usually a farmer's nightmare, glowed in gold embroidery on tiny vests, their pincers frozen mid-snap. Even the humble toad, often mistaken for a bringer of warts, hopped across summer hats in cheery reds and greens, a playful shield against misfortune. Dragon boat festival traditions reveal the Five Poisons' dual role. Families hung paper cutouts of the creatures on doors, not to invite danger, but to cancel out their real-world threats through symbolic representation. Apothecaries blended herbs into sachets shaped like centipedes, believing the imagery could ward off actual pests. This wasn't mere superstition. It was psychological alchemy confronting fear by domesticating its symbols. Artisans took special care with their depictions. Unlike the menacing realism found in medical texts, festival versions of the five poisons were almost cartoonish snakes with grins, toads with comically wide eyes. The message was clear. These creatures had been tamed by artistry, their danger diluted into charm. On a child's jacket, the embroidered scorpion's tail curled upward like a question mark, not a threat but a conversation starter about resilience. What makes this tradition so captivating is its defiance of expectation. In a culture that revered harmony, the five poisons proved that sometimes protection comes not from avoiding darkness but from stitching it into the light. These creatures weren't just dangers to evade, they were teachers, reminding even the smallest wearers that courage often wears surprising disguises. Step into the lavish world of Qing Dynasty scholars, where taste wasn't just about beauty, it was a visual resume. Known as the 100 Antiques or Bogu, this intricate motif wove together artifacts like ancient bronzes, ink stones, and hand scrolls into a single tapestry of intellectual prestige. More than mere decoration, these carefully arranged objects formed a coded language, whispering of the owner's education, travels, and connections without uttering a word. The magic lies in the selection. A single lacquered cabinet might depict a Zhou dynasty wine vessel beside a well-worn book, a pairing signaling both connoisseurship of antiquity and literary prowess. Porcelain vases from the Kangxi era often framed these items as if displayed on scholars' shelves, with Ruyi scepters and jade paperweights implying access to imperial favor. Even the materials carried meaning. A bronze bell painted in underglaze blue wasn't just a design choice, but a nod to the owner's ability to acquire rare antiquities. What makes the 100 Antiques truly fascinating is its democratization of prestige. While only the elite could own actual ancient relics, artisans reproduced their likenesses on everyday objects from cloisonné dishes to courtyard screens, allowing upwardly mobile families to borrow scholarly glamour. A merchant's daughter might drink tea from a cup adorned with symbolic books and brushes, subtly aligning her household with literati values. Look closely at these designs and you'll notice deliberate imperfections, a slightly askew scroll here, a cracked ink cake there. These weren't mistakes but visual proof of authenticity, a wink to the educated viewer that the owner understood the wear and tear of true scholarship. Whether rendered in delicate enamels or carved into hardwood, the Bogu motif wasn't just art. It was social alchemy, transforming clay and pigment into the currency of intellect. From the celestial might of dragons to the quiet resilience of winter blossoms, these 30 symbols reveal more than just artistic motifs. They formed a living language, one that spanned dynasties and social classes. Imagine walking through a museum now, eyes tracing the curve of a Ming vase or the brushstrokes of a Song dynasty scroll. Those intricate patterns aren't mere decoration. They're sentences waiting to be read, stories of power, hope, and survival encoded in every petal and claw. What's truly remarkable is how these symbols persist, whispering across centuries into modern art. Contemporary painters weave the fenghuang into vibrant street murals, while jewelers reimagine ancient coins as bold statement pieces. The language hasn't faded, it's evolved, proving that these motifs are far more than relics. They're invitations to look closer, to decode the layers beneath the surface, to connect with a visual heritage that still pulses with meaning. So tell us which symbol resonated with you. Was it the unyielding bamboo, the transformative lotus, or perhaps the playful bats dangling their blessings? Share your favorites in the comments, and next time you spot one of these hidden messages in a museum or even a modern design, remember, you're not just seeing art. You're reading a story.